Ear. What's good? It's your boy Sean Peter Blunt God. Hey! And we back at it again. And today we will be reacting to a theory that I found off of Reddit. It's called the Moon Theory. I'm gonna kind of read a summary off the thread that I found the theory from. I'm gonna just read the summary before we actually get into the actual theory. Now the theory is pretty long, so it's just gonna be one theory today. It's somebody I didn't realize how long these theories was when I actually start clicking the links. Like last Sunday when I did what was it? I think it was the inherited will theory or something along that line. The inherited will theory, and this time I'm doing the moon theory, which is pretty lengthy theory in itself. But before we get into that, make sure you give your boy a like the stream, and the link to this theory will be in the description box, as well my Instagram, my Twitter. Make sure you follow me on those. And if you want to be a part of a One Piece community, we have a One Piece Discord and a One Piece Facebook group. All these links will be in the theory. Well, not the Twitter and the Instagram. But my @ will be there. So make sure you search me up on Instagram and Twitter. And before we get into that, make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because I will be doing a giveaway at 50 subscribers. I will be doing a giveaway once we reach 50 subscribers. So, let's get into it. Let me read kind of a summary of it before we get into the actual theory. But just off the thread that I found. So I don't know why I keep changing the page. Okay. So it says the moon theory is an incredible popular theory and has been propositioned in many different ways. But at the center of it is the fact that the moon or moons of One Piece seem to have a huge role. This version is by Zach Logan and is very well done and really worth a read. So we will be reading a theory from, I don't know if it is a Reddit user, or I don't really know who Zach Logan is, but that is the guy who this theory is credited to. So, but let's get into the actual theory, because it's a pretty lengthy theory, and this is, this might take a while. It might take a while. So, all right. So, and I kind of, this is actually on the page again. If you want to follow along, the link will be in the description. You could get to it by there. It's already in the description. So if you want to follow along, by all means. And this is one of the pictures on the pages, and we see the globe, and this part, this is one thing that I've always missed in One Piece. I did have a friend that told me about this, and I kind of debated. I was kind of like, and this is the fact that One Piece does have several moons, and if we look here, it's about 4 moons that we see. And I don't remember the chapter. Somebody knows the chapter. There is a cover page where we see, I don't know whose ship it is. I don't know if it's a Navy ship or if it's a pirate ship, but it's somebody, and the moon is literally like, not that far from them. Like it's probably a couple thousand meters from the surface, but it's still pretty close. It's a lot closer than some of the clouds. You know what I'm saying? It's probably closer to the sea than Skypiea is in the cover page that I seen. So yeah, there's several moons, and I want to say there's one moon that is relatively close to the Earth, or it gets relatively close to the Earth. So that, and this picture right here kind of portrays that. In the this is something I kind of missed in O'Hara. We see the globe of the One Piece world, and we have about 4 moons surrounding it. Like I missed that. I missed that the first time around, but I had a friend who kind of pointed that out to me and like, yeah, there's multiple world moons in the world, and I'm like, what? when did this happen? Because it was never in like an episode or a chapter other than when we in Ohio and they show this specific, scene where they had the globe of the world, but it's easily missed if you're not really paying attention to it, or if you just kind of, if you kind of don't take it for the One Piece world globe. So yeah, but yeah, so let's go on. All right, so it says written by Zach Logan. What is the One Piece? What is the Will of D? Where's Raftel? We delve into the biggest question in One Piece and search for answers. So, according to this theory, I guess it answers what the One Piece is. It answers where Raftel is, and it answers what's the Will of D. I'm guessing he's going to explore some of these questions within this theory, but let's see. All right, so we got the prologue. Make sure you guys can see the prologue. All right. I'm trying to see where it ends. So all right, so it says prologue. The world is a big place. Many explorers during the age of discovery first set out to the seas thinking that the world existed on a flat plane. Just 500 years ago, astronomers believed that the universe revolved around the Earth. Until recently, we thought we were the only planet in the universe with the capability to support life. As we march forward through time, our understanding of our place in society, our place in the world, and our place in the universe evolves. We discovered that there is a lot more to the world than we can perceive. The same holds true in the world of Ichiro's Oda's One Piece. When we first entered the world of One Piece back in July 1997, we had limited knowledge of what existed of the world beyond the East Blue. We had no idea what the journey ahead would look like. Over the last 18 years, the world has grown exponentially. We have visited lands untouched by man in eons. Ancient cities in the world or in the sky, islands of fishermen and mermen 30,000 feet below the surface. Communities of giants and little people. Human beings with unimaginable powers and a world unseemingly thrown into constant meteorological and political chaos. So we got a panel with I want to say that's Bellamy talking to Luffy, and it says long ago ignorant seafarers saw them falling out of the sky and thought there must be islands up there. Surely there must be another world up there in the sky. There's always a scientific explanation for a strong phenomenon. In time, the truth behind such myths become clear. That's what Bellamy basically told Luffy and Jaya. But to continue to read, as we stand in the One Piece world today, 18 years after it began, we do not, and I don't know when this theory was made, how long ago this theory was made. Seeing how it's been like over 20 years, I would think this was a couple years ago. Yeah, I would think this was a couple years ago, like around 2007, 2015-ish, because it's, or maybe 14-ish, 2014ish, because 2017 would be like 20 years or so. You know. Yeah, so 18 years after it began. Oh wait. So yeah, 2015ish. I want to say this. So this was about like 5 years ago. I'm assuming this theory was about 5 years ago. But anyway, let me continue reading. We or As we stand in the One Piece world today, 18 years after it began, we do not have all the knowledge necessary to put the pieces of the larger puzzle together, just as we do not yet know if other planets indeed hold intelligent life, nor do we know the true meaning behind the birth of our universe. We also do not know what the One Piece is or why that world exists as it does. However, like everything in the universe is tied together by common elements and bonds, so is the One Piece. So is the One Piece world. I kind of missed the world. But the world. All right, so this is just more so setting up this is the prologue. So I'm not going to go too much into any theories or depth. We're just going to keep reading. There are clues to these bonds all around us. Just because we do not know the answer to these great mysteries does not mean that the clues to solving them have not already been planted. Ichiro Oda has already indicated that he has a much larger plan for the story. The problem is we do not have the knowledge necessary to string everything together. Not yet, anyway. So in an attempt to glimpse what picture these pieces weave, I'm going to try to bring as much insight and reason to these pieces that we do have, and will leave it up to speculation and time to sort out the rest. Okay, the story in One Piece exists in 4 layers. First, there are the immediate stories, which we often call story arcs. These include Baradier, Arlong Park, and Logtown, for example. As Oda creates these stories, he planted small details at the beginning that usually pay off at the end, usually around 20 to 40 chapters later. Let me read this little panel. It said the library takes pride in storing the world's most important and most ancient knowledge. Under this tree of knowledge, fine archaeologists from every sea have gathered. There is no historical mystery that cannot be unraveled with the help of the documents found here. All right, that's what the panel is. Where I think that's what's his name, Dr. Clover, or Professor Clover, something like that. I think that's him speaking about the Library of Ohara. So let's continue. Second, there are the larger stories, which many have called sagas. These sagas often encompass a series of story arcs leading to a major enemy or a major goal. Excuse me. Examples of this would include the Baruka Works saga, which tell the story of Vivi's adventures to her homeland and the defeat of Sir Crocodile. Another example would be the Kaido saga, or the Yonko saga or something, where it kind of consists from Punk Hazard to Wano, where Kaido's the ultimate enemy, and where Doflamingo is the enemy to the specific arc. Like, you got Caesar, who's the villain of the Punk Hazard arc. You got Doflamingo, who's the villain to the Dressrosa. But Kaido's kind of the overarching villain. So he's like the saga villain. All right, so, and then he says, third, there are milestone arcs. These kind of stories are hinted about throughout a major portion of the series. The best example we have of this are the events leading to the Paramount War, which are discussed at length in volumes 25, 45, and 50, and then ultimately come to four in Sabaody, Amazon Lily, Impel Down, and Marineford arcs. In these cases, Oda plants scenes and moments throughout a wide swath of the story, laying the foundation for the events to come. I get what he's saying though, because I want to say, was it Sabaody is where Ace and Blackbeard kind of where Ace and Blackbeard fought. Blackbeard ended up catching Ace, and that led him to become a Shichibukai, and then Ace got locked in Impel Down. Luffy decided to go find Ace after Luffy got separated from his crew, of course, and then Luffy went to go save Ace, went to Impel Down, then went to Marineford, lost Ace, and then kind of dealt with it in Amazon Lily. So like all those arcs, those were, like the seed was started in Sabaody, and then we dealt with the backlash, or we went through Impel Down, Marineford, and then we dealt with the backlash of everything in Amazon Lily. And then he went back to Sabaody to meet up with his crew. But then, that whole thing was pretty much wrapped up. I never really, I kind of like how he kind of broke down the four different levels of story we get. We get the arcs, then the sagas, and then we get the milestone stories. I kind of like that. I never really ever looked at it that way. But yeah, so he said, in these cases, Oda plants scenes and moments throughout a wide swath of the story, laying the foundation for the events to come. Yeah. And I think a good example of that we're seeing at the moment is what's going on with the Shichibukai, right? Because at first we get first that started with Mary Jo, right? The Reverie started with Reverie, where they was like, okay, we got the SSG, we no longer need the Shichibukai. So then, we didn't really hear much about Wano, and that was when the Marines and stuff actually went to go confront these Shichibukai, and still we don't really know much of what's going on, but all that's going to lead somewhere to something major. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's probably going to be this major war that's going to happen, but we don't know. We're right now just waiting to see what happened with the Shichibukai, with the warlords. So, but I think that's a great example. That's currently the best example of what he's talking about there, of the whole kind of swath of the small stories that's breadcrumbing up to a larger story. Let's go. All right. So, all right. What I will be discussing here is even larger than that. It is the underlying story that stretches across the entire series. It is what the current One Piece editor recently described as the main story. Yeah. These clues are not as obvious as those planted prior to a milestone story like the Paramount War. I believe that Ichiro Oda has been planting certain clues throughout the series from the very beginning in order to lay his foundation for a final battle with an inevitable outcome. I will go as far as to say that everything is part of the underlying story. Or I ain't gonna say everything, but I would probably say like 75% of everything is part of the underlying story. The underlying story, because we got these Yonko arcs and Shichibukai arcs. They're all, you know, kind of important to the end game, for example, because we know Kaido is looking for the One Piece, and you know all these things are going to eventually trickle down to the major part. But I get what he's saying, and he's right. He's right, but I think you know everything's kind of part. Not everything, but majority of what we see is part of the underlining story, the main story. But there are a lot of irrelevant story or irrelevant things when it comes to the main story. Okay. And then he said these clues are not as obvious as those planted prior to milestone stories like the Paramount War. I believe that Ichiro Oda has planted certain clues throughout the series from the very beginning in order to lay his foundation for a final battle with inevitable outcomes. I already read that part, but you know, we're gonna read it again. But anyway, so to put it more directly, these clues are the key to solving what the One Piece really is and why Monkey D. Luffy will be the one to find it. Ultimately, the power that Luffy will discover at the end of the Grand Line has impacts for every character in the series, be it those of the past, those of the present, or those we have yet to see. And that's kind of what I was talking about. Well, I don't even got it up, but that's kind of what I was talking about. That's what I was kind of talking about with like everything kind of is relevant to the main story. So then we get this this shot of the cover story of Enel going to the moon on his ship. I forget what that ship is called, but yeah. So that was pretty much the prologue. Now we're going to get into the actual theory. One, the space race. Okay. So the Skypiea arc ended over a decade ago with images of Enel utterly defeated, finally making his way to the endless Vars, also known as Verth. Enru said on the island I was born, people believe that God resides there. They call it Endless Vars. The land there stretches out farther than the eye can see. Volume 29, page 197. When we learned that the Endless Vars was actually the moon, my instant thought was that Enel was a lunatic. Of course, it doesn't hurt that he's a megalomaniacal psychopath. That you know, that's a lot right there. However, what is revealed when it is revealed what is actually on the moon, you realize that Enel was as crazy to go to the moon as the Straw Hats were to venture to the sky. Remember that in the One Piece world, the possibilities are truly limitless. Okay. When Enel gets to the moon in his cover story, covered predominantly during the Thriller Bark arc, you see a story unfold that is typically One Piece style, filled with quirks, humor, and adorable but inscrutable characters. However, it is also laced with a series of earth-shattering revelations and questions as to the very foundation of all civilizations in the world. Oh man. The angels Descent. So what happened on the moon a millennial ago? How is it connected to the main story? Before Goldie Rogers' execution, before Nolan and Kalgara fought in battle, and before the Void Century, there were three races of human beings that lived on the moon, collectively known here as the Angel Race. Today we know them as the Belkans, Shandians, and Skypeans. You can see each of them depicted in the paintings on the ruins beneath the surface of the moon. And then we kind of get a picture of kind of like hieroglyphs, you know what I'm saying? And it again, like right now I'm covering a theory video. I'm doing reactions to this very long theory from Arthur, the Library of O'Hara, and he's doing this big theory of what the One Piece is, and I'm doing them right now. And I've done 2 episodes so far, but I want to say he has like 5-6 episodes out right now that you could go watch. And I think he's dropping like 8. I think he's dropping like 8 videos or something, 8 different episodes. And he talks about, these races on the moon. Like a lot of his theory is heavily on the moon. Like the last reaction video I did of his was heavily focused on the moon. So it's weird that I started this week kind of doing a reaction to a theory about the One Piece moon and everything, and I'm kind of ending this week, doing a different theory, reacting to a different theory about the moon as well. So, and I comment on his video, like, what is his, like, how does the introduction to King and the Lunarians, I haven't read the chapter, so don't go spoiling anything in the chat, please. We're not talking about the chapter today, okay? I don't want to hear, what do you think about is people already kind of spoiled it with, I've seen some scans with his face revealed and everything, and I'm already kind of upset with that, but it's social media, so what can you do? But anyway, I'm kind of wondering how the Lunarians fit within that, because we know Lunarians, he looks like he's one of the races from the sky, but where the other Skypeans are kind of looked at as angels, the Lunarians are looked at as gods. So, where do they fall within this whole thing? And were they people of the moon? Like, I'm curious, and I hope we get more of that within Wino. So, there's that. But, I just kind of wanted to add that to it because I said that on the video I reacted to earlier. That's about a theory of the One Piece. But yeah, let's go. We got Anel looking at these hieroglyphs, right? And we got these little guys. I think they're like cyborgs. I want to say they're like cyborgs or something. And then we have each of the the 3 different races of Skypeans, and you could tell they're each from the Belkans, the Shandians, and the Skypeans, because they all got different wings, kind of like each of the Skypean races have different wings. But let's continue. But I'm kind of looking at these hieroglyphs, and I see that snake, which was kind of looked at as like the Skypeans kind of looked at as like the sun god or whatever. I'm not too sure. But let's continue. All right. The paintings also may contain some language that may be related to or the same as those depicted in the Poneglyphs on the planet below. You can compare those same wings and even the same hair to the characters Gadatsu, Enru, or Enru's hometown of Belka, Wiper from Shandora, and Canis from Skypea. So yeah, I don't know if y'all can see both. I guess I can't get both in the picture. But yeah, so like I said, each Skypean race have different pictures or different types of wings. The wall paintings seem to indicate that the angel races descended from the moon to the planet below in search of resources, leaving the race of mustachioid androids known as Moonites to their own devices. It seems like it was an upsetting occasion for all involved, which begs the question as to why this event occurred. What was the cause of this resource shortage, and why did the angel races leave the Moonites behind? Maybe they're protecting something, you know? Maybe they're protecting something, you know? Like, could it be the One Piece? I don't know. Maybe a Poneglyph. I don't know, you know? Maybe a road Poneglyph. Maybe they're protecting the final road Poneglyph, you know? The most important, if there's a road Poneglyph on the moon, that must be the most important road Poneglyph, you know. But I'm not gonna get any speculations to the One Piece or Poneglyph being on the moon. Yeah. All right, so we get kind of a picture where it looked like we have some Skypeans kind of repairing one of the Moonites, and then we have another Skypean look like he's leading the other one somewhere else, or maybe these Skypeans on the right side of it are actually building the Moonites, and this one is leading the newly built Moonites somewhere else. I don't know. But let's go to the Moon Kingdom. Why did the three races cooperate to create these Moonites? What force brought these three races into harmony in order to create robots armed with weapons? Something had set the three angel races to work together and create the military force. As the cover story progresses, Enru accidentally finds himself with the ancient Moonites army under his control. This army includes a set of Moonites that somehow ended up on the Grand Line at Machine Island. The scientist Dr. Tsukimi at some point in the past found these mustache droids and rebooted them with that. It seemed that each developed their own personalities, their own identity, and perhaps had their wings taken from them. It is unclear whether it was the scientists, the act of rebooting these droids, or something else entirely that set these Moonites apart. That's interesting. So, okay, so these Skypeans built these Moonites as almost like warriors. It was seeing, you know, they had spears, you know. So my thing is, I believe they could be protecting something, you know, or unless, you know, the Skypeans that were living on the moon was expecting some type of invasion. But if they left them on the moon, I would think that maybe they're protecting something important, maybe some information. That's why I kind of said the rogue poneglyph could be like one of the rogue poneglyphs could be on the moon, because maybe they're protecting them. You know, maybe they're protecting that poneglyph. If it is indeed the One Piece, you know, I'm not gonna make any speculations of the One Piece being on the moon. But if it is indeed the One Piece, I mean, they could be protecting the One Piece. But I'm curious, like, since we have one of these Moon Knights on Earth, I would really like a chance to actually maybe have the Straw Hats like meet it. You know what I'm saying? Like encounter this Moon Knight. Or maybe if there's other Moon Knights on Earth, like maybe some other ones fell onto the Earth. And if so, I would like to maybe hear from one of these Moon Knights and let them tell their story. if unless Otis brings us to the moon, and that would be dope, bro. Like I would really love for the Straw Hats to go to the moon. That would be some that'd be some dope stuff right there. We have a moon arc. I don't know. That's just that's wishful thinking. That's wishful thinking. All right, the Moon Kingdom. Why did the Oh, I already read that part. I already read that part. So, okay. Regardless, once they were reactivated, an explosion on the moon caused the scientists to choke on the dumpling and die. After this occurrence, the Moon Knights took to the moon with ordinary balloons in order to exact vengeance on the space pirates. The Moon Knights were utterly defeated. So who were these space pirates? They don't look human. In fact, they look like characters out of Crash Bandicoot. Each of them seem to have a sort of clock or gauge in their chest, so they are either some sort of robot or some kind of creatures wearing depressurized space pirate spacesuits. It's confounding as to where and when they fit into the story. Is possible they existed either long before or long after the Moon Knights and the Angel races. The space pirates are also working on building some sort of contraption. From what I can tell, it looks like they're trying to build a ship, but the cover story calls it an evacuation plan. So the question then is, what are they trying to find underground on the moon? The title Descent in the 16th volume of Enru's cover story also is unclear as to whether this is a descent into the moon or down to the planet below. So okay, so we got this cover story where we have these guys they kind of like dogs almost. Like these space pirates kind of look like dogs. And on the thing to the left, we kind of get like this big snake looking thing, or snake whale looking thing. I don't know. And it says, given all of this, it's not too far fetched to believe that the moon may hold some kind of great secret that the Moon Knights were created to protect. Exactly. Maybe these space pirates represent the descendants of those who were trying to uncover the great mysteries of the moon, or the angel races. These races prove that they have access to remarkable futuristic technology and the ability to build a durable structure, an army of androids. For example, the complex depicted in the first drawing still stands on the moon of Enru's arrival, and with some lighting charge, it remains functional. Okay. So we see Enel kind of standing among these Moon Knights, and then he's reading on the left side. He's reading the hieroglyphics that we already kind of seen, and with the Moon Knights next to him, I guess they're showing them these things, possibly telling them the story of everything. Bro, I'm gonna say this, man. I don't know if we're ever gonna go to the moon in this story. I don't, but if we don't, I'm really hoping Anil comes back to the Earth, and maybe he comes, with this newfound knowledge. Maybe he meets up with the Straw Hats, and not necessarily as a villain, you know. Maybe not an ally either, but I don't. Maybe more of an ally than an enemy, but maybe he talks to him and tell the Straw Hats these secrets, and that's how we learn about all these secrets about the moon. But I do feel as though we need to know about the moon. We need to learn about the history of the moon. Like we need a more in a more fleshed out story about the moon. A lot of what we're going off of is cover pages, and speculations, you know, which I mean the cover page does give us some information about, we know that the Skypean races lived on the moon at one point and then they left because of resources. And in all three of the Skypean races, as far as the Belkans, the Shandians, and the I forget the third ones, but I'm just calling them normal Skypeans. We know that they all got along, and then eventually they went to Skypea, and they were at war. They was at war. So, you know, I would like to get a more in-depth, fleshed out story of what happened on the moon, like this history of the moon, and how it connects with everything on Earth. I believe there's a connection. There has to be a connection. Maybe not, but I believe there has to be a connection. I believe it's related to the One Piece and the ancient kingdom and all these things. All right. So the question remains, how does this connect to the main story? It is not clear as to exactly when these angel races descended onto Earth, but it had to be well before the formation of Skypea or Shandora. It also was likely to have occurred before the Void Century, since Kalgora mentioned that they are protecting the poneglyphs of their ancestors. The moon doesn't just hold mysteries for the Shandians and the Sky People. It also may hold the key to unlock many of the mysteries of the past on the Blue Sea. And then we get another look at the this globe that's in the Library of Ohara. We get all these different moons. I think before I said it was 4, but it looks to be 5, and then I think this yellow one is the sun possibly. So in the One Piece world, the sun revolves around the Earth. Logical, I guess. Logical, makes sense. It's not like our planet where like the Earth revolves around the moon or the sun, not the moon, the sun. All right, so the ancient kingdom. Let me get me a swig of water. All right, before I get in that, I'm going to read this panel of Robin. It says, "Can it be? The words that are casually written here, they're the same script as those on the Poneglyph." And this was in Skypea. I think around that golden bell, And that's another thing. The kingdom of Jaya, was really heavily, connected with the One Piece and the ancient kingdom, because we got all the poneglyphs, and there's a lot of the language is the same language of the poneglyph language. Okay, the ancient kingdom. I used to be one of those people who said to new One Piece fans, you can just skip the Skypea arc. Don't go skipping arcs now. Don't go skipping arcs. If you can't watch it, then read it. If you can't watch it, read it. Do not go skipping arcs. I don't like people who tell like new One Piece fans to skip an arc. Like, just read it. If you can't watch it, read the manga. Some arcs are worth watching in the anime, but definitely. If you, I'm not going to sit here and tell people to watch every single episode, but at least read every arc, or at least read the arcs that you don't want to watch. You know, like if you want to tell somebody not to watch certain arcs, then tell them to read it. But don't go skipping arcs. Don't go skipping arcs. Read it or watch it. One or the other. Just gotta say that because I don't like that. I don't like telling people to skip stuff. You know, you skip something, then you miss a whole lot of information, and then later you confuse. Man. Anyway. He said, you can just skip the Skypiea arc. Nothing of real consequences to the main story happens there. I now realize I was doing a major disservice to new fans. Not only is the Skypiea arc a fun and engaging journey, told the way only Ichiro Oda can, but it also provides some of the most pivotal big picture storytelling in the entire series. Yes, Skypiea is very important. And plus, Enel was a dope villain. Like, I mean, he's not my favorite villain, but I do like Enel. Don't get me wrong. Enel was a good villain, a very OP villain as well. You know, one of the most powerful devil fruits there. You know, some people argue more than Kizaru's, but nah, Kizaru got light, bro. Like, if Oda really like flexes Kizaru's devil fruit, bro, I think he probably has top 2, top 3, possibly top most OP devil fruit. If Oda really wants to like let hit the light fruit, the glint fruit shine, nah, ain't many fruits beating it. You know, there might be fruits that could counter it, like the gravity fruit, the darkness fruit. Like, they may be perfect counters to it, kind of like how the gum fruit is a perfect counter for the what is it, the Goro or the Goro, and that was devil fruit. So like the gum, because rubber is a natural enemy to electric, so gravity is a natural enemy to light. But bro, if Oda, like, I'm gonna eventually do a video with Kizaru, because I have a lot of thoughts about Kizaru and his devil fruit. And I think Oda has been holding Kizaru back for a reason. But that's for another discussion. I don't know why I'm talking about Kizaru. It's just because Enel's devil fruit and Kizaru's devil fruit are kind of similar. You know, they're similar. I'm not saying they're the same. They're similar. But yeah. Enru's story on the moon and the Straw Hat story in the sky have seemingly little to do with the events that happen below. However, under the surface is a story about the last remnants of an ancient kingdom. Near Shandora, Robin discovered just how old the city was. The year 402 of Kain, she begins. The city thrived over 1,000 years, and it was destroyed over 800 years ago. It falls right into the 100-year gap in world history. Perhaps this island holds the secret of the unspoken history that the land below ceased to talk about. Volume 28, pages 117 to 118. Robin notices while going through the ruins of ancient Shandora on Upper Yard that the city's predominant text is written in the same language of the Poneglyphs. Those Poneglyphs were scattered throughout the world and meant to ultimately be read as one text. The real Poneglyphs, also written as the Rio Poneglyphs. And then we have the Road Poneglyphs. But I don't know if this theory was, I don't know if this theory was actually made when the Road Poneglyphs was introduced. Because think about it. I'm thinking this theory was made around I'm thinking this theory was posted around 2015, and I want to say they went to Zoe. Zoe is where they learned about the road poneglyphs, and the road poneglyphs are the 4 poneglyphs you need in order to find where the One Piece is, where Lafto is, right? So if so, I'm saying this theory was probably made around the time that the road poneglyphs were introduced, but I don't know. I think it might have been before, because I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. I want to say the Zoe arc was 2016 or so. I want to say it's 2016, and this theory might have been made maybe about 2015 or 16ish. Like I don't know, around 2015, I think. So because he said the story was 18 years ago, right? And 18 years ago at that time of him writing it was when the story started. Was One Piece started July 1997. So 2017 would be 20 years, but he keeps saying 18 years. So this was about 2015. So I'm guessing this theory was made 2015, and it was before the road poneglyphs were introduced. Okay. Okay, the world government's enemy. This story, when stitched together, reveals the true history of the world. Ardent readers of the series know this well. The world government, as it has existed for the past 8 centuries, represents a confederation of 20 kingdoms that united as an opposing force to the ancient kingdom. These kingdoms were allowed to retain noble status at the sacred land of Marijoa under the guise of the world government. The descendants of these kings became known as the Celestial Dragons, known in Japan as the Tenryou Beetle. Don Quixote's Doflamingo and his lineage were once part of this world noble community representing the kingdom of Dressrosa. The kingdom of Alabasta was the only member of this confederation that did not abdicate the throne and send its monarch to Marijoa. Yeah. So, let me read this little panel. I want to read the panel with Professor Clover. After reading ancient manuscripts and the few poneglyphs that have been found, we've gradually discovered the existence of a nation of which no trace now remains. What is clear from these manuscripts is the existence of an immense kingdom. Okay. So, all right. We also know that the world government forbids reading the poneglyphs, a central point to Robin's flashback. During the Water 7 Enislavi's story arc, the archaeologists of O'Hara had discovered far more than anyone else in this world because they treaded on the world government's declaration. They make sure y'all can see that. They studied ancient texts and the poneglyphs at O'Hara and around the world in secret. The information they gleaned from this research was significant, and we as readers only are able to scratch the surface. Okay, so it was Professor Clover spoke to the 5 elders. It was professor, it wasn't doctor. I was thinking Dr. Clover. Because teachers could be called doctor as well. You don't have to be in the medical field to be considered a doctor. You know, so yeah, he could have been Dr. Clover just as well. But Professor Clover spoke to the five elders, the supreme leaders of the world government, about the void century, also known as the 100-year void. While speaking to them, Clover notes that the greatest truth that we seek today is not the Poneglyphs, but the reason for its existence. Volume 41, page 132. He says that the indestructible stone left behind by an ancient kingdom indicates that they also had an enemy, the current government. Clover describes the Void Century as a time that is inconvenient for the world government. This country, which was eradicated over 800 years prior, also had enormous power. I'm gonna read this panel, which I can't really. It's a lot of words, but I'm gonna read it. It says it appears that they once had enormous power, but all information about the kingdom has been relentlessly erased. It is probable that these people understood they would be destroyed by the alliance of nations. It is probable that these people, okay, I read it, later called the world government and carved the truth of their existence onto pieces of stone, which survive to this day, known as the Poneglyphs. So I see. This is Professor Clover talking to I can't remember his name. Not Spandam, but Spandam's dad. I forget Spandam's dad name. I see. That is quite an atrocious hypothesis. I think that's what he says. The words, the letters are very small, so I'm kind of, I'm trying to read them. Throughout or without doubt, the so-called ancient weapons could destroy the world. However, and more importantly, history will thrive. I don't know what to say. Reveal that the very existence and idea of the kingdom is in fact what the world government finds to so threatening. Isn't that so? We still don't know the nature of the threat, but the key is the ancient kingdom that once thrived, and its name was, and then Spandam's dad says kill him, and then we see like a gun get pulled out. We don't see it get shot though. But all right, back to reading. Professor Clover was never able to name the ancient kingdom, and hence we are left with a major piece of the puzzle unsolved. Theories about what it may be have cropped up over the years. The only real clue we have linking the Poneglyphs to something other than the Poneglyphs themselves comes from Clover's speech and Robin's discovery on Skypiea. There are two instances on Skypiea we have seen that use the ancient texts apart from the Poneglyphs. First, we have Goldie Rogers' text. Silver Rayleigh, his first mate, claimed that Roger could not read the text like those in O'Hara, but only was able to hear the voices of all things in the world. Volume 52, page 95. This could imply some sort of inherited ability to hear all things past, present, and future. It is a clue for what's to come. Second, we have the text sprawled throughout the ancient city of Shandora. This writing seems to have been the original dialect of the Shandian people. To take this logically to the next step, it also means it was the original dialect of angel races on the moon. As discussed earlier, the ancient writing on the walls on the moon seemed to be the same as that on the poneglyphs. However, it also means that something occurred since its inspiration, that we had been lost and forgotten by the Shandians of Calgara's time. All things considered, it is possible that this kingdom of enormous power either came from the moon or had the power to go to the moon. Either scenario could provide some very interesting story points in the far future of One Piece. All right, before we get into the next section, I kind of had some things. First, I want to talk about how he says that the writing on these poneglyphs were the dialect of the people from the sky or the moon. You know, the three races of the moon. But that's kind of making me think there might be even a bigger connection between Skypiea and Wino. Right? Because if you think about it, who else? Like if the Skypieans, let's say the ancestor, the older Skypieans, right? Let's say they knew how to read the text because that's their dialect, that's their language. So if they know how to read that language, you know, they're one or they're three of maybe four groups of people that we know can read poneglyphs. The other being the Koski clan, people of Wino, right? Because they wrote on the poneglyphs. They were the ones who pretty much built the poneglyphs. So that would mean there's a very strong connection between the people of Wino, especially the Koski clan, who also have the moon crest as their symbol, right? And there's also a connection, you know, there's also, what was I going to say? Let me slow down. There is a connection between the people of Wino, specifically the Koski clan, who wrote on the poneglyphs, and Skypians, who also speak that language as well. So yeah, so I'm really curious to know. I'm really curious of the connection between the Koski and the Skypians, because if the ancient Skypians knew how to possibly read the poneglyphs, read the text, then are the Koski Skypians as well, or is that more of or are the Skypians and the Koski kind of remnants of the ancient kingdom? You know? And what else I kind of wanted to point out was who else, right? Because I know, because what I just noticed, right, was, or what I just kind of remembered, another connection between what's going on in the moon compared to what's going on Earth, right? We seen those people, those characters who could have been aliens, right? Like if you look back in the early part of my video, matter of fact, let me show you guys just so you understand what I mean. So let me okay, we're at the ancient weapons. So remember that, guys, the ancient weapons. So there is a part where we see these guys on the moon, right? You know, they don't look human. You know, we don't know where they're from. Right? They could be aliens. Could they be minks? Possibly, because one of them looked kind of like a dog. He kind of reminded me of a dog. But they could possibly be alien, you know? And who else, what other being that we've kind of been introduced to recently that is very mysterious and seems like he could be as well be alien-like? I mean, we didn't fully see him. We don't know what he looks like, but for all we know, he could look like one of these guys. who is that, right? If these guys are, let me see, let me go back. If these guys are indeed alien, right? If these guys are indeed aliens, what other character could be an alien that we've seen in the story and we don't even know what he looks like? If you're thinking what I'm thinking, you would be thinking Im Sama, right? He could have come from whatever race these guys are coming from. If let's say they're looking for these secrets as well, and Im seemed like we don't know how long Im been around. He could be damn near immortal. He could have been around since the Void Century. He could live thousands and thousands of years. These guys could live thousands of years. And Eam could have possibly been like an enemy of Joy Boy. He could have been like that what do you call it? The nemesis to Joy Boy. That's why he probably led the 20 kingdoms into a war against Eam. So, speculation, but like these guys again, like they could possibly be alien, and Eam also like he could be alien as well. But then again, another argument you could use is One Piece has a lot of kooky looking characters. You know what I'm saying? We got the long arm tribe, we got the long leg tribe, we got the long neck the snake neck tribe, the 3-eyed, but yeah, so I know I'm just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. But let's continue. The ancient weapons. There are 3 ancient weapons bearing the names of gods. We got Pluton, Uranus, and Poseidon. So we already know what Pluton is. Pluton is a ship, right? Pluton is a ship. Now my theory on Pluton and how it's going to come to be, I don't know if they're going to build Pluton, because I think we might have Pluton already. We might already have Pluton. What's Pluton? If you listen to my theory earlier this week, it could be the Sunny. It could be the Sunny. The Sunny could be a miniature Pluton. Maybe it's not Pluton, but I do believe that it has, like, think about it. We got Frankie and Iceberg are the only two people who alive that we know of that know the blueprints to Pluton and have the capabilities to build Pluton. And I would go off the venture to say Frankie, with his knowledge of what the Pluton is and him wanting to build the best ship ever, he probably took some elements of Pluton and incorporated into the Sunny. Now, is the Sunny as powerful? Can the Sunny destroy islands like they say Pluton can? Maybe not. Maybe not. Or maybe we just haven't seen it yet. Maybe, because what reason does the Straw Hats have to destroy an island, right? What reason does the Straw Hats have to destroy an island? So even if it can, we would never see that, because Luffy would never do that. We know it has that laser gun though. So I'm thinking Frankie, you probably incorporated some elements. Maybe not the whole thing of Pluton, but maybe some elements, and turn into more of a miniaturized version of Pluton, potentially. And then we got Poseidon, who we know is Shirahoshi, and I think it was confirmed that Shirahoshi kind of it's not, or Poseidon isn't born every generation. It's like it takes many generations to come back, or be reincarnated. Kind of like maybe Joy Boy. you know. And if that's the case, right? Maybe Joy Boy is immortal, you know, because maybe even when he dies, he comes back through somebody like Roger. And even if Roger doesn't inherit Joy Boy's will, maybe I would think Luffy does at the very least. Luffy might inherit Joy Boy and Roger's will, and Eam might be immortal as well, you know. And he's like the natural enemy of Joy Boy. But then we have Uranus. Pause. We don't know what we still. That's still the mystery. That is still the mystery of Uranus. What Uranus is, and I don't know. Like I want to theorize because I would think they're all different, right? So okay, so let's take a step back. Let's take a step back. We're gonna do a little theorizing here, just a little. Poseidon, right? We know Poseidon is the god of the sea. You know, let me do a quick research real quick before I really go into this. Before I really go into this. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking on my butt. So so I wanted to make sure I wasn't talking on my anus. Pause. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself. But so we got Poseidon, the god of the sea, you know, based off the Greek god. Poseidon is based off the Greek god Poseidon, right? God of the sea. In the story, that's Shirahoshi, who is a being, you know, who is a living, sentient being with the capabilities to control sea kings. Okay? And then we have Pluton. Now, I'm trying let me look up Pluton as well. Cuz I want to make sure. Okay, so Pluton is based off the Greek god Pluto, and Pluto is pretty much Hades, the god of the underworld. And what we know in One Piece, we know that Pluton is a ship built for destruction. It's able to destroy an island, you know. And then we have Uranus. Pause. And in Greek mythology, Uranus is the god of the sky. The god of the sky. So I would think Uranus would have possibly be a weapon that could potentially be on the moon. Maybe that's what those sky people, that's what those little droids are protecting. They're protecting Uranus, the ancient kingdom, the ancient weapon Uranus. But what could it be? What does it actually do? How does it? Why is it a weapon? We know Pluton is a weapon because it's a ship that could destroy you. It's a ship that could destroy islands. We know Poseidon's a weapon because it's a person, a princess that can control sea kings. And you look at sea kings, sea kings are pretty big. They're pretty big sea creatures that can destroy ships. They can destroy Navy ships pretty easily, you know. They're bigger than Navy ships. So they can destroy like ships. And they could probably move big objects as well. You know. What would Uranus do though? Like what would be the purpose of that? It would have to do with something in the sky. My guess would be it could be a something having to do with controlling weather. Cause that would be very OP. Like having like a very like being able to control the weather of the planet possibly. Like that is a very old, like people have their theories that there's like a weather devil fruit, but I would think a weather devil fruit would have a limitation. Maybe it could maybe you could control the land the weather among within a country or a region of a country. But with Uranus, if let's say it could control the weather, you know what I'm saying? And this is kind of the bouncing back to the theory I did. This bounces off the theory the last Reddit theory I read, where it talks about destroying the red line, and you would need Pluton to possibly destroy the the to destroy the red line. You would need Pluton. You would need Poseidon to maybe control the sea creatures. I don't know what they would do. I don't know where that would what that would do, but maybe to just control them. They could also help destroy. I don't know. I don't know. But then there was a part in that theory where it says if you destroy the red line, then the weather would probably go a little crazy. So like around the world. So maybe having something like Uranus you'd be able to control that weather and stop the planet from going too crazy. So with those three things, they will work in conjunction of each other in order to reunite the world. That's kind of that's kind of wrong. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, so that's kind of my theory on what Uranus could be. It could be something that controls the weather, especially since it has to do with the sky. And I could see maybe those little moon nights. Maybe they're not protecting the Poneglyph. Maybe they're not protecting the One Piece. Maybe what they're protecting is Uranus. Pause. Oh, I got Dragon Ball fan 1000 says hi. What's going on, man? Oh, appreciate the subscription, man. Appreciate the subscription, Dragon Ball fan 1000. Oh, welcome to the stream, man. Welcome to the stream. So yeah. But yeah, that's my theory on what Uranus is. Pause. It's hard not to say that word and it just not sound a little sexual. But yeah, let's continue with the theory. We got the ancient weapons. I feel like reading this probably gonna kind of repeat what I just said, honestly. All right, so moving on. The ancient weapons. We got a picture of King Neptune. I think talking to I don't know who he's talking to. I want to say it's Robin, but I'm not too sure. But it says 3 ancient weapons bearing the name of gods: Pluton, Uranus, and Poseidon. In their conversation with Professor Clover, the 5 elders also mention the destructive powers of the ancient weapons. These weapons have the power to destroy the world. This kind of destructive power, supposedly, is derived from the ancient kingdom. Again, this seems to suggest that the kingdom was one of futuristic and unknowable technology. This makes it even more remarkable that the world government was able to join forces and defeat such a presumably powerful enemy. It is unclear whether the kingdom possessed the ability to use these weapons in order to figure out what these weapons are, what they're capable of, and how they can help decipher some of the mysteries of the One Piece world. It is necessary to look at each individually. Dragon Ball fan 1000 said a new One Piece episode drops tonight. Yeah, it does, man. I probably won't be watching it till tomorrow because I got a little little work to do tonight. I'm gonna miss it, but I usually catch up to the episodes. I usually catch up to my episodes before like I do my Sunday streams because I talk about the chapters. Like if you read the chapters, you're definitely in a good place because I talk about the chapters every Sunday. Like after the official chapter drops, I talk about I like to discuss them. So I will be doing a discussion stream tomorrow about I think chapter 1035. I want to say, and as I see, it's good. I've seen some spoilers. I was spoiled, unfortunately. But what can you do with social media? And that's what happens. That's what happens, man. But yeah, I'm psyched for that new episode. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. But yeah, the episode, the anime has been heat. The anime has been heat. I will say that. He says, I read the manga too. Then you're in the right place, man. You in the right place, bro. Are you caught up? Or let me know if you caught up with all the chapters. I just got volume 97. Okay. Yeah, man. Do you like read them like on the app as well? Like, are you caught up with the most recent chapter? If you are, don't spoil it for me. I know there's been scans, but please don't spoil it for me. Cause I'm gonna read the chapter tomorrow and then I'm gonna do a stream. I'm gonna do it around 4 p.m. Central Time. I don't know not sure what part of the world you are, but that's like 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, definitely catch that stream and we could talk about whatever epicness happened in the most recent chapter. He said, I saw the new chapter. It was he. I bet it was, man. Like, I mean, all I really know about the new chapter is that it's Zoro versus King and that they reveal what King looked like. And I'm like, man, like people were sharing it, man. It's like, I'm going down my timeline and I just see it. And it's like, dang, man, he just spoiled it for me. And now I know what he looks like. And I haven't even read the chapter yet. But yeah, man, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Can't be too upset about it. But yeah, man, come talk about it with me tomorrow, if you're free. If you're not, if you don't got nothing going on, 4 p.m. Central. You subscribe so you'll get the notification. Again, welcome as well. Welcome. I'm gonna get back to reading this because I still got a good bit to go. All right, Pluton is named after Pluto, the Greek god of the underworld. The ancient weapon Pluton has been described as a battleship that has the power to destroy the entire world. This is the first ancient weapon were introduced to, and it is the one we have heard about the most. When the Straw Hat crew arrived in Alabasta, they found themselves in the middle of a conflict created by Sir Crocodile, who sought to obtain Pluton for himself. His ultimate goal was to create his own independent nation with the help of the weapon. Of all the kingdoms of the world government, only Alabasta chose not to send its monarch, the Nefertiti's, to Marijoa. Alabasta is the only kingdom of the world government as it exists today that has a poneglyph, a relic of the government enemy. He said, speaking of spoilers, Dragon Ball fan said, speaking of spoilers, watch out for Spider-Man spoilers. Oh, I'm not worried about that. I seen the movie, so it was good. Did you see it? It was a good movie, So I'm not too worried about the spoilers for Spider-Man. Like I was definitely one of those movies I was psyched to see. I'm like, man, I gotta go see this like when it comes out, because I knew people would be spoiling it. I knew if I waited too long, somebody was gonna spoil it, and I didn't want to be spoiled. So I went in. I went to go watch it. Seen it. What's today? Saturday. Seen it on Thursday. Great movie. So all right. So I said the Poneglyphs on Alabasta and its connection to the past and present events is perhaps the most puzzling. Crocodile somehow had the knowledge that the information about the Pluton weapon was inscribed there. Further, Nefertiti Cobra, the king of Alabasta, somehow also knew that the Pluton whereabouts were written there. The other question, the the other question, the other question, the Poneglyphs in Alabasta poses is why is it there? We learn later that the blueprints to the Pluton were handed down from shipwright to shipwright in the city of Water 7. It is unknown how these blueprints came into existence, but it cannot be assumed that they were necessarily written in ancient texts, especially since the title is written in English. All who saw it understood its destructive nature. I mean, I would kind of chalk that up as maybe it was originally written in ancient texts, but maybe somebody translated it. I would think translated to modern languages. That would probably make the most sense to me. But I don't know if English was the primary language of the ancient kingdom, and all the other kingdoms of the time. So yeah. Both Crocodile and Iceberg, oddly enough, had the same idea in mind. They wished to keep or control the blueprints of the Pluton in order to act as an imposing force to the world government. These blueprints drive the action for much of the Water 7 Ennis Lobby story arc, just as they did for the Baruka Works story arc. Frankie's flashback revolves around his mentor and father figure Tom, who sacrifices himself in part to hide the blueprints from the government. Dragon Ball fan said, didn't Frankie burn the blueprints for Pluton? Yeah, he did. He did do it. While during Water 7. And the thing though is Frankie remembers it. Like him being the shipwright. He's good at building. Like he's just good at remembering anything that has to do with building, or not even just ships. It could just be technology in general. So he remember he's the only person that knows how to build Pluton at this point, and like that's why I said earlier. Like I said, Frankie probably like the Sunny is probably he probably incorporated some of the Pluton in the Sunny, because like Sunny is a very advanced ship in One Piece. We don't see many ships in One Piece that can do the coup de burst, or that has that laser cannon in the front of it. And I think that's probably like some things that Pluton might have as well. But yeah, Frankie did burn the blueprints. You're right about that. So the Pluton has proven itself to be a major catalyst for some of the most crucial arcs in One Piece. Its existence, is its purpose, and its history still remain completely and utterly unknown to the reader and to most of the characters in the series. Why was it in Alabasta a kingdom of the opposition world government? Why were the blueprints in Water 7? These questions and many others remain unanswered. However, they all provided essential connections between the ancient history and the One Piece. Maybe he should have built it for a battle against Kaido and Big Mom. I mean, that could have been the case. You know, especially if they're fighting on the the ocean or whatever. I don't know. You know, seeing how like Wino is a land centric battle, I don't think it would have came to any use because you gotta think about it. If they do use Pluton on Wino, they'd probably wipe out all of Wano. So that'd be very dangerous. That'd be very dangerous to try to kill Kaido and Big Mom on Wano with Pluton. You end up destroying the whole island. Like I would assume. You know, now if it was a sea battle though, if it was like a battle on the sea, I could see that being the case. I could definitely see that being the case. But seeing the fact that they're fighting in Wino, like within Wino's border, I think that would be a very dangerous thing to try to do. Try to kill Kaido and Big Mom with Pluton, you know. But again, I know I said that Sunny could be like a miniature version of Pluton. I don't know if it's as powerful as Pluton to be able to destroy a whole island, you know. And as far as him building it, I mean, he could. I don't see why he couldn't, you know. I just wouldn't see him using it in this specific instance because they're fighting on ground, you know. They're fighting within the country that they're trying to save, you know. Now, if they was trying to wipe out that whole country, hey, whatever. Destroy it. Destroy it. But that's a good question though. That's a real good question. I think Pluton could probably kill Kaido. It could be one of those things that could kill Kaido. Probably easily. You know, it could probably kill any Yonko. You know. I would if it could destroy a whole island, whole country, I don't see why I couldn't kill any character. You know. Maybe unless they're Logi and could like just kind of phase through it, but you know, that's more of a matchup thing. All right, so let's move on to Poseidon. Poseidon is named after the Greek god of the sea. Our first introduction to this ancient weapon was in Skypiea, which indicated that the weapon was located in Fishman Island. The Fishman Island story arc addresses many questions surrounding this second ancient weapon. The Poneglyph on Fishman Island includes an apology from an individual named Joy Boy, who lived on the surface, addressed to the mermaid princess over 800 years ago, during the Void Century. Volume 66, pages 62 to 63. According to the royal legend, someone will come to fulfill the promise in his steed. And at the time, the legendary ship Noah will perform its intended purpose. I would argue that the person who arrived in Joy Boy's steed is Monkey D. Luffy. I think that's very much the case. Without it being confirmed, I think it's pretty much confirmed. Pretty much confirmed without it actually officially being confirmed. I think at this point, Joy Boy being, or Monkey D. Luffy being our hero and the chosen one. You know, I know a lot of people don't like the idea of chosen ones, but in this instance, let's just call him the chosen one. It is Joy Boy, you know, or I mean, Monkey D. Luffy is that person. You know, I believe he inherited Joy Boy's will. And then it says, King Neptune goes on to say the mermaid princess at the time had the ability to control the Sea Kings, as also known as Neptunians, and the power had become apparent in the current mermaid princess, Shirahoshi. The power King Neptune explains would throw the world into chaos. Out of all three ancient weapons, we know the most about Poseidon. It is clear why the power is so destructive. It is the power to control Sea Kings, of course. This is a power that can reshape the world. These sea monsters are what divide the four seas from the Grand Line, and they have proven incredibly destructive. Yeah. Like I said, what is equally incredible is that this is a gift that has been passed down through a living being. The mermaid princess of the void century and Shirahoshi both possess this gift. The only equivalent legacy trait we have seen in One Piece thus far is the legend of the Will of D. This initial two possesses latent ties to the ancient kingdom that we do not understand yet. The inherited will in the ancient weapons, Poseidon may offer the most tangible clue for the power behind the One Piece. And then the most mysterious one of all. And you know I'm going to have to say pause after it. But Uranus. What do we know about the ancient weapon Uranus? Absolutely nothing. We don't, We are able to derive some important points, however, using etymological clues. In ancient Greek mythology, Uranus is the god of the sky. Moreover, in Greek mythology, Uranus' blood rained down and created giants. I didn't really know that. So, I don't even got it up. My bad, y'all. So he says, I'm going to head out. Good night. Hey, Dragon Ball fan, I appreciate you stopping by, man. I really do appreciate you stopping through to talk with me. It's a pleasure in meeting you. Thanks for subscribing. I hope I see you in tomorrow's stream. We talk about a chapter. If not, you can always watch the playback and comment. It's no pressure. But I appreciate you subscribing. You have a good night, man. Man, my nose is stuffy. So, Oda has followed this mythology with the ancient weapons thus far, and there is no indication he would deviate here. Hold on, let me. I would therefore not be surprised to see the Poneglyphs for Uranus and Elbaf. This connection between Uranus and giants may also explain Dr. Vegapunk's experiments at Punk Hazard. While there, the Straw Hat Pirates encountered the skull of a creature even larger than an ordinary giant. Vegapunk, former protege, Caesar the Clown, tried to turn regular children into giants. This kind of power may be harnessed as a means to operate this ancient weapon. The government has proven in Ennis Lobby and somewhere their desires to control these weapons, and using Vegapunk's ability to do so would not be out of the ordinary. Punk Hazard may be the first clue Oda has planted in regards to the ancient weapon, as both the world government and the Navy have to a stake in this facility. The insignia of both the world government and the Navy. Okay. So, all right. So, I didn't really know about like the god Uranus's blood raining down and creating giants, which is kind of related to the Bible if you think about it. Because in the Bible, you have angels, right? I mean, it's a little different in the Bible. It doesn't have nothing to do with like blood being rained down. But you have angels who consummate or have sexual relations, trying to keep it YouTube friendly here, with humans. And in doing so, they create giants, right? Called Nephilims. You could Google this. They're called Nephilims. So, but now what I would go off to venture to say is, what are the closest things that we have in the world of One Piece to angels? We have the sky races, the Skypean races. as well the Lunarians. And there's something I kind of want to say, kind of going back to something earlier I was saying, but I'll say that as well. Um, so they created giants. So I still believe that Uranus has to do with like maybe weather control. I would think, because weather control is probably one of the most destructive forces you could have on the world. You could, if you control weather and create hurricanes to destroy and tornadoes all over the world, that's pretty destructive. And maybe you need giants in order to operate something of that level. Because I would think it would be like a very big machine. You know what I'm saying? So, and so again, this even kind of connects more things, right? So let's think about it. I said the Skypeans might be related to Wino, right? Because for the fact that Skypeans could speak the language of the ancient kingdom, Wino they could write, they created the Poneglyphs. You could say the fishmen because they had that promise with Joy Boy before, that they had that promise with the ancient kingdom to be able to move and live on the surface. And now you have the giant races, which I didn't even think about, which you might need giants in order to operate Uranus, which may be more of a creation, a weapon, ancient weapon created by the sky races. But I wanted to say something because I was connecting Wino with Skypeans, right? I said the we have, like earlier I was talking about how the Wino people, they could write the language, Skypeans could also read the language as well. But think about this as well. Like think of one character in Wino that you could probably connect to Skypea. Like who would that be? I'm gonna give y'all a second. Who would be the one person you like, one character in Wino that's not like a Straw Hat or some out external pirate, but somebody who's a citizen of Wano that you could connect with Skypea? Have y'all thought about it yet? I would say it would be Tenguyama Hitetsu, the swordsmith who takes care of Otama. He's the Tengu guy. He has the mask. He's the swordsmith who built was it Katetsu 1, 2, and 3? Like one of Zoro's swords. The man has the wings. He kind of had wings similar to King. King is another character you could probably relate as well to Wano. But so I could even venture to say Tengu Hutetsu, Tenguyama Kutetsu. I'm forgetting his name now. I would say that he could potentially be related to. He could be from Skypea for all we know. He could have been from the moon. He could be a Lunarian. But you see how Wino kind of almost connects with Skypea or the moon in some, like Skypea and the moon to some level. I'm just saying here, it's a lot of connections, and these and all these connections, all these different races are all connected to the ancient kingdom. You have, they're connected with history. They're connected with histories, like him talking about how the giants, how he's relating Uranus to the giants. I'm just saying. Let me continue. All right. So further, the legend of Ors, the continent puller, and the similarity Ors has to the logo at the entrance of Punk Hazard, which I think that's more related to, because you got the numbers as well, the numbers who are in Punk Hazard. But again, this is new information that we're kind of learning throughout Wano, that the numbers were from Punk Hazard. So, but that's still Still relevant though. Why are they trying to create these giants though? Like ores. Why? So, a popular theory we discussed on the podcast is that Uranus is the connection between the Moon Kingdom and the Ancient Kingdom. This theory would suggest that one of the moons present in the Library of O'Hara may be an ancient weapon. Regardless of what Uranus may be or may not be, it provides the most potential for connecting these two halves of the story. It can bring together the potential origins of this ancient kingdom on the moon or in the sky with the ancient weapons spoken about in the Poneglyphs. All right. So let me see how much we got left. Man, it's still a good bit of this theory. All right, so the world government's answer. The world government has sought a means to counteract the potential destructive power of the ancient weapons. The most apparent example of this effort are the Spandine and Spandum's effort in O'Hara and in its lobby, respectively. The next most apparent example is Dr. Vegapunk. His abilities have been heralded as being 500 years ahead of current technology. He has the ability to create cyborgs, dragons, ships, able to pass along the Calm Belt without worrying about the Sea Kings, the ability to imbue physical objects with the Devil Fruit abilities, and much more. Oda again is leaving clues that have some connection, but no obvious answer as to why they're there. The most likely theory for Vegapunk's use of this kind of advanced technology used in the present story is that he used the advanced technology of the ancient past. This becomes an even more resonant idea when you take into account that Vegapunk grew up on the same island as the scientists who repaired the Moonites at some point in the past. That's also where Frankie was during the time skip. If I remember correctly, that's where Frankie was. All right, the Descendants. Man, we rolling right along, baby. The moon is a pervasive story element in One Piece. It isn't just pervasive because of Oda's attention to detail in showing the passage of time, but it also may provide a hint to its importance to the greater story. For example, at the introduction of Brook's character in Thriller Bark, we were introduced to the familiar tune Binks Brew, also known as Binks Sake. This sea tune had apparently been sung by sailors at sea for generations. The song specifically invokes the moon in one of its final stanzas. There's sure to be a moonlit night again. It's easy to dismiss after all. Why would this be of any real consequences? Since the start of the manga, Ichiro Oda has put in imagery of the moon like this everywhere. It's like that right now in Wano. An early version of Romance Dawn includes pirates named after the crescent moon. Volume 6 is Tilted Crescent Moon. The moon turns into a waxing gibbous when we arrive in Whiskey Peak. In Volume 13, we see a full moon shine as Chopper rides down with his new crew in Drum Island. Many scenes in Alabasta take place under a waning gibbous moon, and the moon becomes full again in time for Enru's ascent to the endless verse, or the moon. At the beginning of Nolan Cogra's flashback in Volume 31, many scenes take place under a moon. In fact, Oda devotes several full panels in that flashback exclusively to the moon. Even the back of Nolan's boat features a crescent moon. And it's wild he's going over this because the fact that this theory came out probably a few years ago before Wino even started, it's still so relevant. It's still so relevant at this point in time because you look at Wano, it's, we look at the prophecy, like the dawn before the moon, and how all the, we got the Kazuku, the Koski clan, that's their theme is the moon, the crescent moon, and then the other clans I think also are related to the moon as well. He's right. He's 100% right that the moon is very relevant in the story. All right, this image remains ever present. A crescent moon adorns the Frankie house in Water 7. A waning gibbous moon peeks through the clouds over the fight between Luffy and Usopp. Blackbeard sulked under a crescent moon in a drawing Oda made for the one edition of the SBS. Even recent chapters have featured crescent moons. It's perhaps the most apparent connection between everyone, past and present, in the One Piece story. Now that we have been to the moon and have actually seen the surface of the moon, we know a little bit of its importance. There are two lingering questions that remain. First, why were there several moons on the map of Ohara, and where are they now? Second, what has come to those that once on the moon and those who defended the ancient kingdom? My question though, are those really moons? Because if that one sphere is the sun and it's circling the One Piece Earth, could those other spheres, those other celestial bodies be planets maybe? Or are they all moons? Or is that one celestial being out, I'm calling the sun, is it just another moon and it just maybe a bright moon? Maybe that could be the main moon. That could be the main moon that, that Enel went to, and I don't know. The origin of species. Ooh, man. There's a lot, man. This is this is a big theory. The origin of species. The world in One Piece looks nothing like our own. For one thing, humans aren't the only intelligent species in the world. They're joined by a litany of other species. We have seen Doors. We have seen members of the Long Arm and Long Leg tribes in Scratchman Apu, Idio, and the antagonist in Brooks' time skip story. We have seen giants in Little Garden, Ennis Lobby, and Dressrosa. We have seen fishmen, mermaids at Arlong Park. Ennis Lobby, Sabaody, Dressrosa, and most notable in Fishman Island. The remaining species, the mink and snake neck, remain unknown. Many have speculated that Gecko Moria is a snake neck. I think with Gecko Moria, I think there's another race of beings that are kind of like demonic to a degree. Because Gecko Moria and somebody like Magellan, somebody like Madam Shirley, who could, who's also a fishman too. Somebody like I can't think of many examples. They have a real demon look to them. You know what I'm saying? They have a demon look to them. So I think there's kind of like a demon race as well, kind of like Gecko Moria, Magellan. Uh, there's probably some other examples I'm not thinking of at the moment, but yeah, these races, according to the human auction list, yeah. See, we got human. Yeah, see, I'm kind of looking at the bids of these, but yeah. So these races, according to the human auction list, only constitute the major species in the world, and that other rare species also exist. Yeah, I missed. Okay, I'll make sure the minks were on there. So the question here is: did those species naturally evolve on the world, or did they come from elsewhere? The O'Hara Library depicts a planet with six satellites and one small satellite that circles another satellite. Provided that fishermen and mermaid evolved underwater, which seems likely, it is possible that the other six races each came from a satellite. These sounds like it. This sounds like it could work, right? The thing is, it may be too good to be true. For one thing, the formation angel race are likely not included on the list of species. The moon that we see to this point also seems to be at the O'Hara Library, and therefore only leaves us with five potential worlds for these species to come from. There's a much bigger problem, and that's the issue to why we only see one of the moons in the sky in the present storyline. What happened to the other six celestial bodies that circled this world? I do remember seeing that chapter. I'll have to find it, but it's like a chapter where there's like a moon that's really close to the Earth. Looks like a moon that's like super close to the Earth. Like, but yeah, the the cataclysmic event that took place in the Void Century, potentially using the ancient weapons, may have wiped out or forever altered these moons. Further, this could be the ultimate cause for the climatic geographic upheaval within the Grand Line in the New World. This event, in part, may have created the world we see in the manga today. The message for Rafto. Rafto is the last island of the Grand Line. In all of history, only one group of pirates is known to have landed there for sure. The crew of the Pirate King. Rafto is the stuff of legend. Lafto, to be correct. When the Straw Hat crew enters the Grand Line in Volume 12, Crocus explains that Rafto is the last island of Grand Line in all history. Only one group of pirates is known to have landed there for sure. The crew of the Pirate Kings. Rafto is the stuff of legends in Volume 51. Shaky describes the race to Rafto as a sort of tournament of the fittest. Perhaps this race to the end of the Grand Line also carries with its meaning, and perhaps it was forged by the world government in the Void Century to prevent others from reaching the final island. So, okay, so I'm thinking this theory came out right before Zoe, because a lot of stuff he's leaving, like a lot of stuff that he's saying was answered in Zoe, you know. But he keeps mentioning Dressrosa, so I think the timing is right. This was about 2015 that this theory came out because I think we were still in Dressrosa at that time, and Zoe was like 2016 ish. So, and I wonder why Crocus lied, because he said Laughter was the last island, but it wasn't. You know, the last island, you get to the last island, that's when what we know in Zoe is, if let's say the Straw Hats would have got to the last island, they would have learned. They would have just started learning everything that they learned in Zoe about the road poneglyphs and all that. You know, so Laugh isn't the last island. How you kind of learn about the road poneglyphs is the last island though. But yeah, let's go on. The poneglyphs scattered around the world connect to create a message, as I mentioned earlier. The real poneglyphs, the set of interconnected messages, are to then be derived to Laughtale, which has only been successfully completed once by Goldie Roger. It is possible that the message Roger brought to the end was not sufficient or did not fulfill the purpose the members of the ancient kingdom originally set forth to end the world government's reign, or potentially it provided a catalyst that set the great pirate age in motion. However, or whatever occurred in Rafto likely gave Roger the impetus to say what he did on the execution platform. It is likely that the Straw Hat Pirates, through Robin, will finally deliver the real message to Rafto that sets forth the course of events that will reshape the world. The Poneglyphs are likely to provide the key to fully toppling the status quo. With what we know now, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case, like you got, deliver a message. So, but, I'm going to keep going. Raftal is where? In other words, I too have to guide the Poneglyph documents that I've read so far. Whew, man, I might have to take a break here soon, man. This we going on 2 hours right now. Raftal is where the remnants of the ancient kingdom are. The job of those that make it there, according to Robin, is to bring the message weaved throughout the world to whoever may remain there, even in the image Crocus or behind Crocus at its initial mention. Raftel seems to either be or have been a populated island, dotted with buildings along its shore. It is possible that Raftel is the home of those that descended from the ancient kingdom. It is possible that the world was reshaped in order to prevent anyone from reaching the final island. This may have been the means in which the world government quarantined its enemy. Robin says that she has to guide the Poneglyphs documents that she has read so far, the end of the Grand Line to Raftel. I had always imagined that there was some sort of poneglyph at Raftel that told the true history, but it seemed to be opposite. The journey through the Grand Line and the New World connects together to create the history, and Robin is the one who is to deliver it to Raftel. Well, let me finish that. The search for the real poneglyph, the connected history of the world, sets the Straw Hat Pirates up as ambassadors of the past, but potentially as the forgers of the new future. The fact that he's saying real poneglyph, it kind of like drives my theory that I keep saying, that I think the One Piece, like what the physical thing with the One Piece is, right? Like I said this in the last stream, and I'm gonna say it again, because I'm really like listening to all these theories is just kind of really making me believe my theory more. It's making me flesh out my theory a little better. But my belief is that the One Piece, like Laughter, what the One Piece actually is a big poneglyph, possibly golden. It doesn't have to be gold. It could be emerald. I don't know what it could be, but it's a poneglyph, right? And this poneglyph, kind of going off of some of the theory I've seen last one, because I like that theory, and I think it can, my theory and that theory coexist well for me to almost take that theory, incorporate it into mine. But I think the One Piece is a big poneglyph, has all the history on it, it has the history of the world in one piece, right? And not only does it have the history of the world, it has, if you watch the last Reddit theory video I did, there is this thing called Project One Piece. And what Project One Piece is taking all the seas and turn them into one big ocean, one piece. You're bringing the world and you're turning it into one piece. How you do that? You destroy the red line. So this Poneglyph has instructions basically saying you need the three ancient weapons, and here's how you execute it. You need Pluton in order to destroy the red line. You need Poseidon in order to take all the sea kings and take fishmen out of Fishman Island, and bring them up to the surface to this new country, as well as they might do something else. You need Uranus in order to control the weather and stop it from going crazy. Something along that line. And then bam, you united the world. Now it's just one ocean. You get the East Blue, the West Blue, the North Blue, the South Blue, without having to go through reverse mountain and all that stuff, or taking a plane or whatever, that's kind of my theory. So, and these theories is kind of strengthening that. He's saying he thought like there was a poneglyph at Laftu. All right, let me see. All right, I'm probably not gonna read all of it, but I do want to read the remaining. Under the half moon, what has become of the descendants of the moon and the ancient kingdom beyond the Raftel? There remain many questions as to the final days of this immense kingdom. Calgara mentioned that the people of Shandora has been protecting the Jaya Poneglyph for generations. He said that what's certain is that the city of Shandora was destroyed in the fight to protect this stone. A sacrifice of that magnitude leaves us no choice but to continue to protect it. There is the clearest account of the potential war between the ancient kingdom and the world government and their fight over Shandora and the Poneglyphs. Robin says directly, the Poneglyph was brought to Shandora. There's no doubt that the city fought against the enemy. The enemy burned the books of the city and erased their history. This provides the most direct connection between the angel races, the ancient kingdom, and the world government. The ancient races' exodus from Shandora, Skypea, and Belka may be explained by a popular theory that has circulated amongst the One Piece fan community for some time. Back in 2010, writer for OnePiece.com and our Japan correspondent Greg said in part, that the Volume 27 cover featuring Luffy with a set of wings may be a clue. I don't know. In sum, this theory states that those with the initial D were wiped out in a major event that occurred during the Void Century. This event could be what destroyed Shandora or brought about the world government as the superpower it is today. Those with the initial D survived and inscribed the story in hope to someday be avenged. Their descendants would eventually carry out their will and topple the corrupt world government built upon their demise. This theory is that who carries traits of both the angel race, the moon people, and the people born on the world below have come to be designated as D. The meaning of D in this case would be a pictographic symbol representing a half moon. Interesting. As the alphabet becomes ubiquitous, but why wouldn't it be C? I think C is a better. I think C is a better depiction of a moon. I mean, I guess D too. D works as well. Become known as the letter instead of a pictogram. This would explain why Luffy is winking on the Volume 27 cover and bears wings. He carries a connection between the blood of those on the world below and of the angel races above. This would bring Luffy in the line with other shonen protagonists like Gohan from Dragon Ball or Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho, whose powers are partially derived from their hybrid upbringing. It actually fits quite well into shonen tropes that have been set forth since the golden age of Weekly Shonen Jump. Further, it directly involves the protagonist in this larger than life conflict. All right. Whether you believe or I believe this half moon theory or not, Monkey D. Luffy undoubtedly carries with him the will of an ancient people. The ancient people he inherits from are likely the standard bearers of the ancient kingdom, which would explain why the D always bring a storm and are the enemies of the gods. These depictions of those bearing D in their name were created by the celestial dragons and the world government. The current standard bearers, the enemy of the world government, those that seek to destroy it, are those who inherited this will from the ancient kingdom. All right. So now we look like we getting into some juicy. The One Piece. Since Dr. Koreha mentioned the legend of the will of D on Drum Island, it has been pervasive and significant part of the story, even proven an essential plot point in the Dressrosa arc. Those with the initial D have proven themselves important in the creation of a new age. The will of D presents something that is central to everything discussed up to this point. When Roger informs Whitebeard of this impending demise, he discusses two specific points, both of which have been discussed or will be discussed at some length here. First is Raftel, where the One Piece is. The second is Goldie Roger's real name, Gold D. Roger. Whitebeard notes that he sees people with that D from time to time, noting Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard in particular. Volume 59, pages 203-204, Roger explains what the D is. He begins a long time ago. I'm not going to read all that because I'm going to be struggling to see it. Whitebeard's final speech, which culminates in this grand statement that the One Piece does exist, is the most clear piece we have resolved or received in solving this puzzle. He notes that Blackbeard is not the man Roger is waiting for, implying that the ideals and actions undertaken by Teach do not represent those that carry the D. Whitebeard said that those inheriting Roger's will, Luffy in this case, will someday rise to challenge the world and shoulder centuries of history. To make things even clearer, Whitebeard tells Sengoku that the Marines and the world government feared the great war that will come to this world one day. Whitebeard concludes that when the One Piece is found, the whole world will be turned upside down. This is the key to everything we have learned thus far. This long history that began with the people on the moon in the ancient kingdom that the scholars of Ohara and the Roger Pirates have tried to uncover. that over the past 9 centuries has affected just about every aspect of One Piece. It all ends with Luffy. In our podcast some time ago, Greg, the One Piece podcast Japan correspondent, creator of the Grand Line, and author and writer in V Jump and OnePiece.com, mentioned a potential clue for the true meaning behind the One Piece. To those of us that speak English, the title One Piece seems to have additional meaning to it. However, in the Japanese language, it's actually a much more nuanced title. In order to understand the nuance, it is important to understand the three different types of Japanese writing. Succinctly, there are three components to the Japanese writing system. The first is katakana, which is often used to transliterate words from other languages. The second is hiragana, which is an ordinary syllabic script used most often for native words. Finally, there is kanji, a form of text that derives from Chinese Han characters and often is ascribed several more complicated meanings. For the term One Piece, we see the katakana used more often. The transliterate term for One Piece is literally Wan Pisu. This is the text we see on the cover of every single One Piece volume in Japan. When Whitebeard said that the One Piece does exist, volume 59, page 54, One Piece is expressed in a combination of hiragana and kanji. Hitu Tsunagi Dahiho. I think I said that right. Which translates to the greatest treasure in One Piece. And also includes a small katakana reading next to it in the familiar. Most Japanese speakers would read this phonetically using the hiragana for One Piece, the homonym Hitu Tsunagi, Hitu Tsunagi. However, there is another viable reading Oda has not yet used, which include kanji instead of what Whitebeard said, Hitu Tsunagi. With the hiragana Hitu Tsunagi, or the one that connects them all. The seas connects the seas, or people connects people. The power of the One Piece therefore may be the power to connect all things in all places with all people across time and space. And see what we know, and bro, like reading all these different theories I've been reading for the last 2 weeks. Like we have Arthur Library of Ohio, who's talking about Luffy throwing this grand party, as well as some of the moon stuff that he talked about as well. And then reading that last theory I read earlier this week about what the One Piece is and how it's Project One Piece in order to connect all the oceans, and how Luffy has the ability to connect people. Like Luffy has the ability to connect all all the different races, all the different countries, all make them unite, with his ability to, his charm, his love for festivals, which you see all these different people having fun. And then if you're able to unite the world to where all these separate seas are one ocean and people could travel from the east to north to west to south, wherever, the Grand Line, all these oceans become one. The One Piece unites the world. Like that's why I'm a firm believer of whatever the One Piece is. It's something that unites the world. Let's continue. So it says The power of the One Piece, therefore, may be the power to connect all things in all places while all people cross time and space. Now, I don't know about time and space, but definitely, you could connect the world, Goldie Roger, the former king of the pirates, had the power to hear the voice of all things in the world. For the future king of the pirates, that gift is essential. It has been said time and time again that Monkey D. Luffy has the power to bring people together. As the title of the series imply, exactly. That's what I was just saying. Through each arc, Luffy turns enemies into allies and rivals into friends. Goldie Roger and Monkey D. Luffy have been shown to both possess this power to both bring all people together and hear the voices of all things. In Fishman Island, the Sea Kings talk among themselves and claim that humans with the hat seem to notice our voices, but it did happen once before. We find that both Roger and Luffy have the same gift in their ability to hear the Sea Kings. This is the most apparent manifestation of the will of Roger that Whitebeard mentioned at the end of the Pyramid War, as well as the Koski clan could do that as well. Like, you got Odin who could hear the Sea Kings, and then you got Momonosuke who could talk to Zo. Momonosuke could talk to Zo. He could command Zo. But the Koski clan in general commands Zo, but seeing how he's one of the only two Koski alive that we know of. Inherited will. Monkey D. Luffy possesses an inherited will that will connect the ancient kingdom struggles of the past to the present. This power has been passed down to him from the enemies of the gods, as the celestial dragons have dubbed those with the initial D. This inherited will is what brings the people of the past and the present together. The inherited will may even be from the ancient kingdom or the moon kingdom. This kind of power is something Luffy has also demonstrated time and time again. He answered the will of Kagura and Nolan from 400 years ago, exactly. I kind of mentioned that in the last theory stream, the last Reddit reaction stream I did, where he was talking about the passing of time. I said it could also be inherited will, right? And he answered the will of, I don't know why I got these on. He answered the will of the Riku dynasty that had been overthrown in Dressrosa. He answered the will of the ancient kingdom when he declared war on the world government and stormed Enies Lobby for the first time in 800 years. He possessed the haki of the Conqueror's King, something only one in a million possess. The dreams of those from the past live on this day. This will is so strong that even the Sea Kings await chosen day. The One Piece is something that connects now to then. My bad, y'all. I keep forgetting to scroll down. The dreams, the One Piece is something that connects now to then. It is something that connects us to the stars and the moon. It is something that can reveal the past and open the future to us. We may not know what the One Piece is, but we know Luffy is going to get it. We know that Luffy not only has the power to become the Pirate King because he connects people today, but also because he has an incredible ability to connect people across time. Because the flow of time, kind of going off of last theory, so that is very relevant. The inherited will, a man's dream, and the flow of time. This he kind of repeated some of it just in a different way. Whatever the One Piece is, I feel assured that it brings the king of the pirates the power to bring together all things from all time and places. So, all right, I'm gonna just read this epilogue and then we're gonna wrap this up. The epilogue. The Straw Hat the Straw Hat Pirates now make their way through the New World in a plot that is tangled and increasingly complex. Luffy sets out to defeat the four emperors: Kaido, Big Mom, Shanks, and Blackbeard. He seems poised to clash with Fleet Admiral Sakazuki and others from the Navy headquarters. At the same time, Luffy has been quickly accumulating a military alliance, the likes of which has never been seen and the scope of which is unpredictable. As the final war approaches, and as real revolution seems poised to take place, the Straw Hats will undoubtedly find themselves at the center of everything. This war will likely bring all of the characters we have seen in some capacity back to the fore, including Enru and his army. It will also bring that's pretty interesting, bringing the Nell back. I did say I would like to see a Nell come back. Give us some insight on what's going on in the moon. Yeah. Maybe he'll be more of an ally, though. That's what I'm hoping. It will also bring this ancient conflict to a head. This war, as Whitebeard said with his final breath, will turn the world upside down. It is possible that the cataclysm that occurred during the Void Century or even prior to that created the One Piece world we know today. Further, it could be Luffy in his role as the Pirate King that reshapes the world. This ultimate battle may rid the world of the Calm Belt, the Grand Line, and all current infrastructures that makes sailing a giant survival tournament. It may destroy the Red Line and Mary Joa along with Fishman Island below it. As Madame Shirley predicted, this final war may present a whole new journey for future generations to embark on. It will leave the world with a new governance, a new geography, and limitless possibility. I don't think it's going to be necessarily the war that brings all that stuff. I think whatever is at Laughtail, I think the One Piece is what's going to do all that. I think the ancient weapons are going to be what gets rid of all those different infrastructures. The final war promises to be something far greater than the Paramount War, as Whitebeard said. This war, as at the very least, will finally settle the ancient conflict between the world government and those of the ancient kingdom. When Robin asks Rayleigh what happened during the Void Century, Rayleigh replies, "Take it one step at a time as you travel on your ship. It seems that we and those at O'Hara were too hasty. Even if I told you everything in history right now, there is nothing you could do about it. The answer you will arrive at may be different from ours, even after you see the world in its entirety at your own pace." Volume 52, page 206 to 207. The puzzle that Ichiro Oda has laid out is far more complex and detailed than I have ever realized. Trying to go through the entire manga, which still has a decade or so to go, has opened my eyes to a world buried beneath the surface. At the same time, we are stuck in time waiting to learn more about this world. There are so many more potential clues and stories that may serve that just under the surface as the adventure continues to unfold. I remain curious and excited to see just how big and incredible the One Piece universe really is. I look forward to going on the rest of this adventure with all of you. And then the rest we got is the acknowledgments. I'm not going to really go over that. Y'all can read them if y'all want. It is what it is. But as far as the theory, yeah, you know, a lot of this theory has a real stress on the moon compared to the last theory the last Reddit theory I read. The last Reddit theory I read was more about the One Piece, what the One Piece is, Project One Piece, destroying the Red Line and stuff. This one kind of touches on that, but nothing in depth. But I do believe they go hand in hand. You know, this one was more about the relevance of the moon. And I think one thing that it was talking about was the will of D being not really being meant to be a D, but more of the moon. But they kind of translate it into a D. You know, that was an interesting piece I found in this theory that I never thought of, but it makes a lot of sense, especially, you know, everything with the moon, you know, seeing how like he says that people who inherit the will of the D inherit the will of the ancient kingdoms and the people of the moon, like both wills. So I thought that was really interesting. I do believe the moon has a very, very strong relevance to the story. If we're looking at it now, we're learning about King, right? We're learning about King, and King comes from a race called the Lunarians, which lunar means moon. So I would think they're like moon people, you know. So, you know, now I'm thinking about it. I think somebody said, I was talking to somebody, I think in the chat, and they said that the moon people, like the Lunarians, like the other Skypeans, evolved from the Lunarians, right? And that kind of makes even more sense now that I think about it. Like maybe the Lunarians evolved into the Skypeans and the Belkans and the Shandorians, right? But they're like the original people, you know, like that could really be the case right there. And then we got and then there's so many connections to the people of the moon and the Wino Kingdom, right? We got, like I said earlier, we got the fact that the lunar or the sky people or the moon people probably spoke the language of, you know, the language that we see on the Poneglyphs. And then you got the Koski clan, who were the ones responsible for writing that language onto the Poneglyphs. So they knew how to read it. They knew how to write it, you know? And then also kind of, you got Tengu Yama Hitetsu, who looks like, you know, he got those angel wings, those big angel wings, kind of like King, right? So maybe they're of the same race. Maybe he is also a Lunarian. And then there's also a connection of the ancient kingdom and the mermen, the merfolks, you know, that promise that Joy Boy gave the merfolks. And then the different kingdoms like Alabasta, who had the Poneglyph with about Pluton, you know, Mermaid Island, or I'm sorry, I'm Fishman Island. Fishman Island also had a Poneglyph that used to be there that isn't there anymore. So we don't really know what that Poneglyph is, but that could be a very important Poneglyph as well. And then we got the different ancient weapons. We have Pluton, which is a ship, right? It's based off of the god of the underworld, Hades, and it's this ship that could destroy an island, you know, that could be capable of destroying the Red Line. And then you got Poseidon, based off of the god of the sea, who is Shirahoshi, who can control the sea kings, which are huge creatures, sea creatures that can be very destructive, but they can also be helpful in a matter of fact. And then we got Uranus, which, pause, we don't really know much about Uranus or what it is, but my theory is it could be something that controls the weather. And maybe it need to be ran by giants, and that in the giant relations, he said that when Uranus's blood rained down onto Earth, it created giants. So the giants' relation to the moon, the giants could be related to Uranus just as much as the sky people could be related to Uranus. And I would think Uranus might be something to control the weather. And if that's the case, you might need that in order to help unite the world, because like in the last theory I covered, if you destroy the red line, it could create it could create a lot of it could make the weather, it could make the climate change almost, so you might need something that could control the weather in order to bring that back into balance. So, and you might need giants in order to operate it. So, I thought this was a good theory. I'm glad I read it. It really kind of put some of my theories into perspective, some of the other theories that I've been reading into perspective. And I believe that some of these theories have been connecting very well. Arthur, Library of O'Hara, the last reaction video I did of his, he talked about the sky people as well. He talked about the moon and all that. So, he stresses how important the moon is. This theory stresses the importance of the moon. I've understood that the moon is very symbolic in this story. So, but anyway, what do you guys think? If you stuck with me till now, and if you watched this whole stream, even if you looked at it later, what do you guys think? What's your theories on what the One Piece could be? The importance of the moon, all these different things. Am I just way off? Or are these theories just way off? Let me know. Anyway, it's your boy Sean P, the Bluff God. Hey, I'm a little tired, y'all. This is a long stream. A lot of reading. I'm tired from all that reading. Anyway, y'all have a good Saturday. Y'all have a good day. Whatever day you're watching this, y'all have a good night, good day, whatever. If you're watching this live, I will be doing the One Piece chapter stream tomorrow. So, One Piece chapter 1035. I think it's Zoro versus King or something like that. I think that's what it is. Anyway, I'm out of here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.